Today we're diving into a super common question when mastering. Should you do a low cut at 20-30 Hz to clean up sub-bass before limiting, or is a steep low shelf a better option? Let's break it down, fast and simple. You've probably seen a lot of YouTube videos and famous artists doing a low cut when mastering. For example, Nicky Romero has shown his master chain explaining he had a low cut at 36 Hz because what is below is not necessary. And that's true. We can hear those frequencies, there's not really important information there, and these ultra low frequencies can eat up headroom, make your limiter work harder, and reduce the overall perceived loudness of your song. So with this explanation, you're like, okay, let's do a low cut when mastering, but like with everything in life, there are pros and cons. But before that, let me show you how to do a proper low cut when mastering. Doing a low cut is simple, just click here and boom, you have a low cut. But here you have some tips. Don't make it too steep. This is not going to work well. Usually I recommend you 36 max and 18 is good. Usually I have it at 24. Then at what frequency should you cut? My advice is to cut at the root note of your song. This song is in C sharp, so we could go on C sharp. Why here? Because this is basically like the fundamental frequency of your song, so below that there's not really important things. But if your song is in D, in F, this is way too high, and if you go on the F0, this is way too low, so then just look for a middle point. Between 20-30 is good. Maybe 34 or something like this is a bit too high. Now, what are the pros and cons of doing this? Pros. You will have more headroom for the limiter, being able to boost it more. You will get a cleaner sub-region, and it is easy to do. Cons. When you low cut, you add phase shift, and you can have pre-ringing. What the hell is this? Phase shift means that in this case the low frequencies get a bit delayed compared to the rest of the song. It's like they arrive later. And it can make the kick and the bass feel less punchy. To avoid this, you can use a linear phase EQ, or for example in FabFilter you can click and change from zero latency to linear phase. But now you will probably have pre-ringing. Pre-ringing is like a little echo that will appear before the transients, like a small sweep in the low end. Let me show you. Just with one kick, the effect is not going to be that obvious. You need to have a lot more things going on. But if we do this low cut and we put the linear phase to the maximum, now let's render this. Apparently there's nothing different, just a bit this waveform because of the low cut. But what if we zoom and now we boost this? Boom. Do you see this? Where is it in the previous one? Obviously there's nothing here because there's no sample, but we generated this. And obviously this is too quiet, especially because it's just one kick. But if you have the kick, the bass, a lot more other elements, the problem can be really annoying, and especially in every transient, that's so bad. And this is why a lot of people is against low cuts in the mastering. But what can you do instead? Low shelf. You can do a steep low shelf like this, around the same frequencies, between -6, -10 dB, something like this is good. In this case, you don't need to use linear phase, because the low shelf is not changing that much the phase. And because of not using linear phase, you're not gonna have pre-ringing. Extra note, in FabFilter Pro Q you have the natural phase. It's like a middle point between the no latency and the linear phase that is not gonna add that much phase shift and also not pre-ringing. So this might be also a solution. And you can make this even more advanced with the dynamic mode. This way you're gonna control even more this area when it's louder in this part. So this way you make sure all of this gets clean. So now what should you use? This is what I personally do. If the low end is quite clean because you clean all the sounds and you only gave a space to the kick and the bass there, the kick and the bass sound perfectly together and all of this, maybe a low shelf is good. You avoid problems. If the low end is a bit more dirty or you cannot get as loud as you want to, maybe low cutting can remove more low end rumble frequencies that will give you more headroom, and this way you're gonna be able to sound louder. And if you're afraid of the pre-ringing, instead of the linear phase, maybe you can try the natural phase. But of course, if I see I'm losing way too much strength in the low end, maybe I switch to low shelf. So in the end, it just depends on every song. I just want to let you know these are the options, the solutions, the problems. And if this video helped you, leave a like, subscribe, and if you need mastering, contact me.